Let's talk about Freud's legacy, specifically the imprint he left on how childhood sexual abuse was denied until recently. During his lifetime, his work, he made great strides. He did. However, basically, he started working with women inflicted with what they called hysteria. Hysteria symptoms is something you would now associate with PTSD, and hysteria was widespread. Well, he worked with world-class women and engaged in empathetic listening with them, and realized that most women who showed symptoms of hysteria also reported being sexually abused as children, most often by their own fathers. And in 1896, Freud put out a report which said, and I quote, "I therefore put forward the thesis that at the bottom of every case of hysteria, there are of one or more occurrences of premature sexual experience, occurrences which belong to the earliest years of childhood." And you know what? He was correct. But when he published, he was faced with enormous backlash. His colleagues turned against him. He was called insane, all because hysteria was widespread. And if Freud was correct, then these upper class women of good breeding, well, they were all abused, most likely by their own families. This would have been very shameful, especially to the nobility, to the upper classmen, to everyone. Now, here is where it gets muddy. Some say that Freud gave in to the pressure of his peers and he retracted this theory, but others say that he himself, when he realized the implications of this theory, realized that it has to be preposterous. These good, upper-class, educated, civilized men could never engage in such horrendous acts. Freud was being cancelled, basically, and he was just like, no. Either he gave in to the pressure, or he himself realized that it can't be this. Either way, he retracted. He retracted that these symptoms of hysteria were due to traumatic experiences. Instead, he started claiming that the traumatic memories these women were recounting to him were figments of their own imaginations, that their minds made this up because of Oedipal desires. Basically saying that these women's minds made up the story of sexual abuse because of their own repressed sexual desires. No, sir. And this haunted the psychoanalytic school of thought until very recently, actually. Like even till 1950s, psychiatry held the outlook that even if someone was sexually abused, it's fine. If they had a normal upbringing before the traumatic experience, they'll be fine. There will be no long-term effects. Like even by 1980s, their outlook hadn't changed, even in light of the sexual abuse revelations that started to come out during that time. For a very, very long time, Freud's claims of false memories haunted childhood sexual abuse victims. And there is no doubt the backlash he faced would have been extreme. However, by bending and retracting, he definitely created a monster. I can't judge. Honestly, I don't like to judge. And I would hope that if I was in his position, I would be able to stand for what is right, to stand in the face of all that backlash and say, no, this is what is right. But I don't know. However, we can say that hindsight is 20/20, and he definitely left a mark, and not in a good way.